Well, hello and welcome to another Wednesday evening. Wednesday evening at Restore UK on the live chat. Going out to Restore UK, that's on Facebook, Also, going out to the British Unionist People's Voice on Facebook, going out to the Restore UK YouTube channel, and also going out to the Twitter channel. Again, that's Restore UK. And I have absolutely no doubt that this evening we will have quite a few viewers on the Twitter platform, given that I have found a new following on Twitter, and they all seem to be from the nationalist and the Republican community. Well, whatever. Welcome, people, and I'm looking across at the Twitter platform as we go. So this evening we're here to talk about a few things, and we have a guest on our channel this evening, a man called Alex Easton, a man that has been here before. And well, we wanted to really talk to Alex again with reference an update on what it is that's happening within Alex's political life, and what his hopes, his fears, and his aspirations for the future of not just Alex Easton, but for British Unionism here in Northern Ireland in general. So to the live chat, I would like to ask you, I have to say that the numbers have went up fairly well this evening, and I'm going to ask people on the live chat to do what it is that's necessary to attract more numbers to this screen. So I would like just to ask each and every one if you could tag people into the live chat. If you could, again, if you could, share this channel, share it far and wide, share it into closed groups, onto your own Facebook pages, again, through YouTube, if you want to share it to your friends and your family, in order to bring as many people here as humanly possible, in order that as many people can hear the message that we have to actually deliver this evening. And also, if you're new to the channel, if you would like to give us a like, if you would like to give us a love, if you would like to give us a share, if you would like to put your messages in the live chat, in order that what we can do is that we can attach to the algorithm, and the algorithm will push us out further than what it is normal. So welcome everyone this evening on another Wednesday evening here at Restore UK. So I'm getting underway with what it is that we actually have to do. Now, what I want to do, this is Ulster Day today on the 28th of September in 2022. And why is it that Ulster Day is commemorated, you ask? Well, let's just explain. On the 20th of September in 1912, the people of Northern Ireland, well, what they did was that they came together, and they came together to sign a register. And the register, it was the Ulster Covenant. And what they were doing was that they were putting their name to a specific set of principles, and they were agreeing to stand by and to stick by those principles in their times of need. And here in 2022, again on the 20th of September in 2022, well, would you believe that Ulster, yet again, the people of Northern Ireland, they're being faced with exactly the same aggression that was being forced upon them back in 1912, whenever they came together and whenever they signed that covenant. So does history repeat itself? Well, that's a real question, and that's a question for the people that are here this evening in order to hear what it is that we have to do. Now, I'm just going to share my screen for a second before that I bring Alex in. And what I want to do is that I want to look at the Ulster covenant. So here we go. So what I want to do is that I want to actually read from something that you see here in front of you. It's from Wikipedia. And really what we're looking at is that it says that the Ulster Solemn League and Covenant, commonly known as the Ulster Covenant, was signed by nearly 500,000 people on and before the 20th of September in 1912 in protest against what was known as the Third Home Rule Bill, and it was introduced by the British government in the same year. So again, I'm just going to flip on down here for a second so that we can read just a little about the Covenant. The Covenant was first drafted by Sir by Thomas Sinclair, a prominent unionist and businessman from Belfast. Sir Edward Carson was the first person to sign the covenant at Belfast City Hall with a silver pen, followed by the sixth Marquess of Londonderry, the former Lord Lieutenant of Ireland, representatives of the Protestant churches, and then by Sir James Craig. The signatories equaled 471,414 in all, and were all against the establishment of Home Rule Parliament in Dublin. The Ulster Covenant is immortalised in Rudyard Kipling's poem, Ulster 1912, on the 23rd of September in 1912. The Ulster Unionist Council voted in favour of a resolution pledging itself to the Covenant. The Covenant had two basic parts: the Covenant itself, which was signed by men, and the Declaration, which was signed by women. In total, the Covenant was signed by 237,368 men, the Declaration by 234 and 46 women. Both the Covenant and the Declaration are held by the Public Record Office of Northern Ireland, PRONI, and an online searchable database is available on the PRONI website. In January 1913, Ulster volunteers aimed to recruit 100,000 men aged from 17 to 65 who had signed a covenant as a unionist militia. A British covenant similar to the Ulster Covenant, in opposition to the Home Rule Bill, received 2 million signatures in 1914. September the 28th is today known as Ulster Day, and that's to unionists here in Northern Ireland. So there's just a brief snapshot of what the Covenant is. And what you will have noticed there is that there was a poem by Rudyard Kipling, which is synonymous with that covenant. And before that I bring Alex in, what we're going to do is that we're going to let people hear the content of that poem as it was put together at and in and around the time of 1912, the 20th of October in 1912. Here.
The dark 11th hour draws on and sees us sold to every evil power we fought against of old. Rebellion, rapine, hate, oppression, wrong and greed are loosened to rule our fate by England's act and deed. The faith in which we stand, the laws we made and guard, our honour, lives and land are given for reward. To murder done by night, to treason taught by day, to folly, sloth and spite, and we are thrust away. The blood our fathers spilt, our love, our toils, our pains, are counted us for guilt and only bind our chains. Before an empire's eyes, the traitor claims his price. What need of further lies? We are the sacrifice. We ask no more than leave to reap where we had sown, through good and ill to cleave to our own flag and throne. Now England's shot and steel beneath that flag must show how loyal hearts should kneel to England's oldest foe. We know the war's prepared on every peaceful home. We know the hell's declared for such as served not Rome. The terror, threats and dread in market, hearth and field. We know when all is said, we perish if we yield. Believe we dare not boast. Believe we do not fear. We stand to pay the cost in all that men hold dear. What answer from the north? One law, one land, one throne. If England drives us forth, we shall not fall alone.
Well, welcome, Alex, to your screen yet again, and I really thank you for coming along to really have a chat. and to have a chat about some of the things that's going on in our country. And given that this is Ulster Day, and as you'll have seen there, I read a little bit from what happened in and around the time of the Covenant. And again, that was a poem that was written as a result of what it was that was going on back in that day. And back in that day, there was the third attempt to force Home Rule here in Northern Ireland. And what was known as the Third Home Rule Bill was trying to be pushed in order that we could be ruled from Dublin. And Ireland would be as one, and separating us from the rest, our brothers and sisters in England and Scotland and in Wales. But as you'll have seen, that there were people in Northern Ireland at that time who they wanted to remain as they were. They wanted to remain as part of the British Isles. They wanted to remain part of the United Kingdom, and they weren't going to let anyone take what is known as the birthright away from them. So, Alex, just first and foremost, if you would like to introduce yourself to the people on the screen. And the reason why I ask you to do that, Alex, is because there's people here from Scotland, there's people here from England. The numbers are fairly high right across the platforms, and some people may not actually know you. So if you would just like to introduce yourself before that we move on and begin discussing our first item on the agenda, which is the covenant that was signed on the 20th of September in 1912. Over to you, Alex.
Hi, John. Thanks for inviting me on again. It's always a pleasure to chat to you. As most people probably know, I'm Alex Easton, and I'm an MLA for North Down. And I would describe myself as an independent unionist. So I hope that describes what I am.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. You got to excuse the pause there. What I do is I mute myself every time to say that, for example, you would be talking so that there's no noises coming from my side. So, yes, Alex Easton, welcome on our screen. So what I would like to do to continue on the theme of the Covenant is that I would just like now to share something else. And what I would like to do, Alex, is I would like to actually read from the Covenant in order that people can get a grasp of what it was that people were wanting to do in and around 1912, whenever that they would have formed this document, and almost 500,000 people here in Northern Ireland actually determined that they needed to sign that document. And as you'll have seen, that there was 2 million in the rest of the UK that actually also signed a similar document. And again, it was against the attempt by the Conservative government of that day, and also the people who were in Dublin. It was directly against the attempt to put us into what is known as an all-island state, in where that we were going to be ruled from Dublin. And that was in essence what the Third Home Rule Bill was actually all about. So again, I'm going to share my screen, and what we're going to do is we're going to read from the actual covenant itself. So again, bear with me whilst I get this up.
Okay, thanks.
So people, you will see just directly here in front of your screen as I begin to read. Being convinced in our consciences, excuse me, that Home Rule would be disastrous to the material well-being of Ulster, as well as the whole of Ireland, subversive of our civil and religious freedom, destructive of our citizenship, and perilous to the unity of the Empire. We, whose names are underwritten, men of Ulster, loyal subjects of His Gracious Majesty King George, humbly relying on the God whom our fathers in the days of stress and trial confidently trusted, do hereby pledge ourselves in solemn covenant throughout this our time of threatened calamity, to stand by one another in defending for ourselves and our children on our cherished position of equal citizenship in the United Kingdom, and in using all means which may be found necessary. Just bear with me for a second to scroll on down. defending for ourselves and our children our cherished position of equal citizenship in the United Kingdom, and in using all means which may be found necessary to defeat the present conspiracy to set up a Home Rule Parliament in Ireland. And the event of such a Parliament being forced upon us, we further solemnly and mutually pledge ourselves to refuse to recognise its authority, ensure confidence that God will defend the right we here to subscribe our names, and further, we individually declare that we have not already signed this covenant. The above was signed by me on Ulster Day, Saturday, the 20th of September in 1912, and it says at the very, very bottom here, God save the King. Now, one thing that I'm going to say that is very, very interesting about all of this is that here we are on the 20th of September in 2022. And here we are yet again having a king in charge of our country. It's significant that we actually speak about this whenever Charles has just taken over the throne. So, Alex, what you will have seen, and again, I'm talking to the people in the live chat here, is that you'll see that as a result of this third Home Rule Bill, what was actually happening at that time was that the people of Ulster, both the women and the men, what they did was that they decided that they would basically sign a petition, and the petition was that covenant, really stating that they wanted absolutely nothing to do with Dublin Rule, and they preferred to remain part of the United Kingdom. And here we are in 2022 being faced with exactly the same type of thing that was being thrust upon us way back in 1912. And that was again on September the 20th in 1912, as you will have seen. So, Alex, again, whenever you look at that document, and this is a question to you, whenever you look at that document and you understand the content of it, I mean, can I ask you, as a unionist, as someone that wants to remain part of the United Kingdom, and whenever we look at the protocol and then the protocol bill, which is coming down our line, I mean, is it right, for number one, is it right that against the democratic wishes of the people here, is it right that this again would be thrust upon us, separating us from the rest of the United Kingdom? And somewhat that is in terms of trade. Alex, have you any thoughts on comparing what it was that was facing unionism in 1912 and what it is that's happening today?
Yeah, well, certainly back in 1912, unionism was very much more united than we see today. And there was a clear vision of where the people of Northern Ireland wanted to go, and that was to remain within the United Kingdom. What's amazing about it was, and not a lot of people seem to know, is that over 2 million people in the rest of the UK actually signed the covenant as well. And that's not widely known. So it just shows you how much support we had right across the United Kingdom at that time. Yeah, history has a bad habit of repeating itself, and certainly the Northern Ireland Protocol, as it stands, has put a border down the Irish Sea. It has affected our trade. It's affected our identity. It's caused a lot of apprehension within the pro-union community. It's something that we didn't support, or something that was foisted on us by Westminster, which was wrong. And now there's the bill going through the House of Commons at the moment, which is meant to sort of make changes to try and mitigate large parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol. The concern I have with it currently is that it still has a border down the Irish Sea at the end of it. Goods will still be getting checked, possibly through UK ports other in Northern Ireland ports, and that still is a concern. It's a major concern, because why are goods from our country being checked coming to our country when we're meant to be part of the same country? So there are still an awful lot of concerns, and it's worrying, and it certainly undermines confidence within the pro-union community that the protocol could still be there in a different form, yet we haven't had a chance to vote on it, discuss it, look at it in absolute detail, how it's going to work. And that's just wrong. People have the right to know what is coming. They have a right to have a say in what's coming. And that's something that is deeply, deeply worrying.
Yeah, Alex, very, very well put. And again, whenever that we do examine the circumstances of back in that day, when the Third Home Rule Bill was being thrust upon the people of Northern Ireland without their say, I may add, well, here we find ourselves yet again in 2022, as you would have said, without the say-so of the people of Northern Ireland, and contrary to the terms of the Belfast Agreement. The Belfast Agreement, what does it say? Well, there was a principle of consent, and how that Belfast Agreement was being sold back in 1998 and the lead up to 1998 was it was being sold that the union is safe, that there is a principle of consent which protects the union, and that there would not be constitutional change in Northern Ireland unless the vote, firstly, put to the people of Northern Ireland, and also and a secondary vote actually in Southern Ireland, in order that what they could do is that they could accept us into this so-called New Ireland or United Ireland, should that be the case. So again, there's a lot of striking similarities between the forcing of a people away from the rest of the United Kingdom, and isn't it so? It's 100 years later. Like a round figure. Really, I mean, it was our centenary year there just last year, and just around that 100-year figure, isn't it unbelievable that we would find ourselves in exactly the same position as we did back then. And again, to the people that is watching here, and again, if you're new to the channel, I would just again like to take this opportunity to ask you to give us a like, to give us a love, to give us a share, to make sure that you get your name into the live chat, in order that what we can do is that we get to ask you back, or get you back onto the channel again each and every time that we go live. So what I want to do now, Alex, again, now that we've compared the striking similarities between the Third Home Rule Bill and the protocol itself, and then we understand that there's a protocol bill, and we'll talk about that a little whenever that we come back. But whenever that I'm doing a documentary at the minute, the people at Restore are involved in a documentary comparing yesteryear, 1912, 1914 to 2022, and the fact that we're being faced with the same aggression, and doing the research. I'm absolutely amazed at the striking similarities between what was happening back then and what it is that's happening today. And we'll talk about that just a little bit more. And suffice to say, the protocol bill, well, we had the Third Home Rule Bill back in 1912 and 1914, thereabouts, and here in 2022. Well, do we have the Fourth Home Rule Bill in the protocol and in the protocol bill? And I'll give you some of my thoughts on the protocol bill whenever it is that we come back. So, but firstly, what I want to do is that on Sunday, just Sunday there past, myself and a good man, a good friend of ours here at Restore UK, a man called Simon Corey, we went to Newry to a commemoration of the signing of the Ulster Covenant. And when there, basically what we did is we got to talk to one of the organisers of that parade on that day. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you a snippet from the interview in Newry, just that's on Sunday past. So Alex, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to actually pop your mute on here. And if you can unmute yourself whenever you come back to talk, so that we don't get any sounds, and we'll do the same with myself over this little interview. So here we go. Sunday afternoon, we learned that there was going to be an Ulster Day commemoration in Uri, and this is the man, David Taylor, that would actually be somewhat responsible for having put some of the things together. Now, one of the things that we were fairly interested in is that in talking to other people and the documentary that we're making, is that we found out that there was a hymn, and that hymn was, "O God, our help in the ages past, our hope for years to come." And what we had learned, David, was that those were the hymns that people were singing in and around the time of actually signing that covenant all the way back in 1912. So could you just tell us a little bit about today and the reason why that you put this together to commemorate?
Well, the service itself, this is actually the 63rd annual service that has taken place. Over the last number of years it wasn't able to take place because of the COVID pandemic, but this is the first year that it has returned from 2019. So it's our 63rd annual service, and it's always been a very important occasion for the brethren of Newry Frontier branch of the Apprentice Boys of Derry. It's a long-standing service, obviously, and it's something that we have received support from brethren across Northern Ireland and beyond even for many years, and it's something that we greatly appreciate. But we feel it's an important occasion to mark. It's obviously a very important chapter in the history of unionism. And it's important that we do remember what our forefathers obviously done at that time, and this is just one of those things that helps remember and commemorate the time of the Ulster Covenant signing.
Yeah, and part of the plan here with this documentary is to show a documentary that people would actually watch, but at the same time they would actually learn a bit of our history in the process of actually watching.
Well, as I say, this is the 63rd annual service that we've held, so it's obviously been a very important fabric of the Loyal Order institutions within Newry. The Apprentice Boys have obviously taken the lead on that in this city over that period of time, and the service is well renowned around entire of Northern Ireland, and that's why I think we get so many people from across the province that do attend on a yearly basis, and we certainly are very gratified about the support that they do give us. They take time, quite a bit of their day actually, to come down and support us here, and it's something that we would never take for granted. And it does, as I say, mark a very important chapter in the history of unionism, because our forefathers did give so much in terms of defence of our church position within the United Kingdom, and this is our small way of acknowledging that each year.
Yeah, and can I just ask you, I mean, from where in Northern Ireland has some of the participants came from?
Well, as far as Londonderry, we have the Governor, Lieutenant Governor and others that have came down from the maiden city today, but there's many other areas across Northern Ireland. There's not one particular area where I could pick out really. There is support from across the province and indeed beyond, believe it or not, over the years, but as I say, we're very gratified with the fact that people do come down and support us here.
Yeah, well, looking at the parade there, and no doubt you'll see this through the footage that I've just taken, that there was quite a participation in it.
Yes, there was.
I mean, the weather was okay.
Yep,
Well, it wasn't
stayed dry.
no sun, but it stayed dry, and it let people get done what they had to do. Just one more question for you, David, but I noticed there just on the way in on the right-hand side, there's a huge centenary stone just in front of the hall here.
Yeah. Well, we have a stone that commemorates actually, those murdered brethren, people that we lost during the Troubles in particular. Obviously, this area was impacted greatly by that, and the stone reflects all those brethren that we lost during that period of time, and it gives members of the institution and their families an area of reflection, really, so that we can have that opportunity to remember all those that came before us.
And we will be going out and we'll have a look at that stone just on the way out. And, I mean, I have to say, like walking through Newry, there was no problem, absolutely no problem. People standing on the sidelines, there wasn't a bad word spoken or anything else. I mean, the day went off really, really well, which is probably a testament to yourselves and how that you conduct yourselves.
Well, we're certainly very proud as an institution about how we do conduct ourselves, here, and we're very. I think we take a very professional and very very organised approach to it, and that certainly helps with a very well-run service. And as I say, we're doing it quite a bit of time now, and my own position as secretary, I've been doing it for quite a number of years now. So. A lot of it comes second nature to you when you become, so heavily involved in it. But we were pleased with how today went. Both the service and the parade, both went very, very well for us. Particularly given the fact we've been missing for a number of years because of the pandemic. So we're very proud that we're able to return here and hope that continues for many years to come.
Yeah, well, David, I have to take my hat off to you and to the other organisers of the parade. I have to say that I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I'll be back.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you. Okay.
So that was us on Sunday Sunday afternoon in Newry, and I have to say that I actually thoroughly enjoyed the day. I enjoyed the church service also, and one of the things that I noticed that the organisers got right, and talking to David, he told me that it was actually the Church of Ireland that put together the order of service. But what they did was they picked up on a hymn, and you'll have heard it playing in the short video clip that we done, and that was a hymn from, and this is for the people on the live chat, that back in the day, at the signing of the Ulster Covenant, and in other times of historical significance in and around that day, the old theme back in that day, Alex, was for God and for Ulster, and that was the old theme of Carson's army whenever they came together. And they were godly people, and what they did was that they began with prayers, or they finished with prayers, and they sung hymns. Would you believe, even at the signing of the covenant? And one of the hymns that I guess, and I'm going to suggest that it was the theme tune of that day, was a thing called "In God our help in ages past, our hope for years to come." And what they did was that they had that in the order of service, and I was on. Well, we had all the video recording equipment and the sound equipment with us, and we were able to actually record that in the church, and we'll be using it in the documentary. And I tell that for the people on the live chat, in order that what they can do is they can get a full understanding of what was happening back on the 20th of September, the time surrounding the 20th of September, and that was on 1912. So coming up very soon at Restore UK. Now, I did say last week that I would hope to have this documentary done for now, but I have to say that there's a lot of work in the documentary, and I know that some people that come to Restore UK here, excuse me, what they're doing now is that, there's a man called Billy Dixon who's a blue badge holder. He's an historian, and what he's going to do this Saturday is that he's going to give us time up to take us on a walking tour, so that what we can do is that we can also add to the documentary. So I have to say the participation is good so far, and I hope that whenever that we get this thing done, everybody's going to enjoy it. So there you go, Alex. That was in Newry on Saturday. Or sorry, Sunday there, just past the Apprentice Boys. He said, was it the 63rd time in where that what they've did is that they've commemorated the signing of the Ulster Covenant. That's what our forefathers signed up to all those years ago. So, Alex, would you have anything else to say on the Covenant before that it is that we move on?
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if, when you look back in those days, just how united we all were and how we all worked together and how we all were singing from the same hymn sheet. It's a joy to watch that, and I would love for the pro-British community to be like that today. We would be so much more stronger together. We would be able to do so much more together, and it would just be fantastic if we could achieve that. And it's a lesson that all our unionist leaders could learn from the past, in that united we stand, divided we fall.
Sorry about that. Everyone talks about unionist unity, but whenever it boils down to it, I mean, people are ploughing their own furrow. And as you say, back in that day, again, I'm going to encourage people to keep an eye on us getting documentary out, because there's a lot of things that I'm learning that I never ever knew. I mean, for example, what we talked about earlier, I didn't know that 2 million people signed that in England and in Scotland and in Wales. And again, if it's educational for people, for us to do this, well, what better way to teach people the history and the heritage of the people that still are British in Northern Ireland, who have a British birthright here in Northern Ireland, that want to maintain not only their British birthright, but certainly the United Kingdom as a whole. And Alex, one thing I'll say that I did learn whilst researching for this documentary was that, it really came to me, it really, really dawned on me that it wasn't us that wanted to leave the Ireland, what has become the Republic of Ireland. It was those people that wanted to leave us. I mean, we were all one. We were all the British Isles. We were all the United Kingdom, so to speak. And well, they partitioned in 1921, which was the formation of Northern Ireland, and we just are through our centenary there. But look, we didn't leave them; they left us. And I make no apologies for saying this, but how dare they now try to trail us away from something to which that we don't want to leave? We are the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, and well, we need to fight, really fight, using weapons of words to maintain the United Kingdom, even if others have really well, they have rolled over and they're going to allow it to be as things would be. That's only if we don't stand up against it. So okay, so back to the protocol and the protocol bill and how that it is that we are faced with the same circumstances as our forefathers were faced whenever they signed that covenant in 1912. And, you know, as I say, they were being faced with the third attempt at this Home Rule Bill. So it was called the Third Home Rule Bill. Well, you know, when I was talking to some people in Uri the other day, I now coined the phrase that, well, we're being faced with the fourth Home Rule Bill. And the fourth Home Rule Bill is this protocol and the subsequent protocol bill. And, you know, to all those unionists who will watch this, you know, I don't know whether you understand what this protocol bill is or not, but this protocol bill is a compromise on your Britishness. It's a compromise on your place within the United Kingdom. It's a somewhat separation in terms of trade from Northern Ireland and the rest of the United Kingdom. It places a border, it maintains a border. What it does is it lifts the actual border and it places the actual border permanently at Larne, at Belfast, and at Warren Point. And why do I say that? Well, let me explain. I've studied this. I've looked at it with some legal minds, and well, the determination that we've came to is that if it looks like a border, if it checks like a border, well, it is a border. So why do we have a border between us, Northern Ireland, and the rest of the United Kingdom? There's no other border in the entire United Kingdom that requires checks on goods. Let me explain about the protocol bill. There's a green channel for goods that is destined to Northern Ireland, and in which that Liz Truss had stated in the Parliament on her first reading of the protocol bill, she said that the British government would carry out checks on goods in the green channel. She said that she would supply data to the EU from the checks in the green channel. Edwin Poots on Nolan's show live had said that, well, he has no problem, the DUP have no problem with checking goods in a red channel, which is destined for the EU, you know, in Larne and Belfast and in Warren Point. And I say to myself, well, if the Belfast Agreement requires that there is no border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and if this is all about protecting the Belfast Agreement, well, then why not are we now not trying to protect the Belfast Agreement whenever there's a border being put in the North Channel and in the Irish Sea? So you see, I see this protocol bill as if it is ratified, that will be the full and final settlement. And we're never ever going to get that back again. Anything that unionism in Northern Ireland has ever given in all my lifetime, you know, I'm now 54 coming this year. In all of my lifetime, anything that I have seen being conceded by unionism, it is lost and it is gone forever. So this isn't some kind of staging post to which that we think that we're going to build upon. This is a full and final settlement. And if we listen to Ben Habib, who again has taken legal advice and who again is involved in a case against the protocol being thrust upon Northern Ireland, and it's went to the Supreme Court. In fact, it's due in the Supreme Court on the 30th of November and on the 1st of December. There's two cases. Let me explain. There's two cases against this protocol, the protocol in general. And One of the cases is Ben Habib, Jim Allister, Kate Hoey, and some other unionists. Well, I think that case consists of Jim Allister, Kate Hoey, and Ben Habib. They were the main thrust behind that case. And then there's a case in which that ourselves at Restore UK are advising on, and it's exactly the same case. We'll be in the same court on exactly the same day, and we'll be fighting exactly the same thing, and that is the I call the illegal separation of Northern Ireland from the rest of the United Kingdom. The dismantling of Article 6 of the Act of the Union. That was an act which actually stipulated that there should be unfettered access between England, Scotland, and Wales and Northern Ireland and back the other way, with no tariffs or no bounties being placed on anything. That is in essence what the Act of the Union means. So contrary to the Act of the Union, this has been thrust upon us. Contrary to the Belfast Agreement, the principle of consent, this has been thrust upon us. And I believe that there's not enough, there's not enough fight in unionism today, just like that there was back in 1912 and in 1914. So there's my take on the protocol bill, Alex. And one thing I will say before I close, and I asked you for some opinion on this, is that, if we look at the protocol bill, we notice that from Articles 1 to 20, which is the stuff that would be, let's say, conducive to helping restore our place in the United Kingdom, 1 to 20, it can't come into effect unless that, it says in Article 26 of that protocol bill that I call it the snakes and ladders bill. And the reason why I call it that is that it appears that we're getting something in Articles 1 to 20. And then when you look at Article 26, what it says is that in order to achieve 1 to 20, ministers in Westminster would have to take it back to the Parliament to change legislation, and we're back to square one again. So I don't think it's a very good bill. I think that what it's doing is it's buying for time. I think that what it's doing is it's kicking the can down the road until 2024, in where that there's a vote in the Northern Ireland Assembly, and this is where you're going to come in, Alex, as an MLA. And that vote in the Northern Ireland Assembly, the essence or the foundation, the cornerstone of this place, which is sitting behind me here, to which you're an MLA, was cross-community consent. That's what that was built upon whenever it was set up in 1998 under the Northern Ireland Act. But what they have done, and there's no, I'm going to say this isn't by mistake, what they have done is that they have allowed for a vote in this assembly in where that if they vote that protocol into place in 2024, I think it's November, somewhere between November and December of 2024, if the MLAs in this building vote that into place, we have this protocol forever, and we're never going to get rid of it. And I believe that it's no accident that was drawn into the legislation, Alex. Alex, you were an MLA. Do you know anything about this vote in 2024? Are you happy with the fact that this was meant to be a building, an establishment, a parliament, a devolved assembly that was based upon cross-community consent? So yeah. Why then has it changed for 2024?
I was never a fan of the Belfast Agreement and voted against it because, I was able to see what was coming down the road. But, everybody swears the Belfast Agreement is the be-all and end-all of everything. And it's holier than thou, and it can't be touched and it can't be tampered with. But when we left the EU and to suit other people's political agendas, and for the then Prime Minister Boris to get the Brexit that he wanted for the rest of the UK, we were used as cannon fodder both by the EU and the Westminster government at that time. And, the people in Northern Ireland were shafted. The Belfast Agreement was set up as a net for consent, and they've removed that consent by changing the way the vote is for this in 2024. So even if a majority of unions decide to vote against the protocol bill, unfortunately, it's been changed that it's a majority of the Assembly. And because unionism is more or less in a minority now, with Sinn Féin, the Alliance, and the SDLP, it means that even if unionism votes against it, it's going to go through anyway. So they changed elements of the Belfast Agreement to suit themselves, and that's not consent, and it was wrong, and that's what we're up against at the moment.
Yeah, Alex, and that's exactly what it is that we're fighting against in terms of where we'll be at the Supreme Court here. And I'm going to say to the people on the live chat here is that here at Restore UK, and well, okay, there's the Ben Habib, the Jim Allister, and the Kate Hoey case also. We'll all be in that Supreme Court on the 30th of November and the 1st of December. Well, we are the last line of defense, I believe, against this protocol and this subsequent protocol bill, which is an enabling bill, which really I call the snakes and ladders bill, which is a mechanism by which that they can buy time until this vote happens in the Northern Ireland Assembly, which they have removed the cross-community consent from. Now, I believe that the Belfast Agreement, it has been tampered with to such an extent that it is null and void, Alex. I mean, that's just literally how we see things. And you know, there may be another case if we get the go ahead. There may be another case in the very, very near future with reference actually trying to establish, well, why was this allowed to happen, and why, in fact, is it allowed to happen, as I should say. So one of the other things that I wanted now to look at, Alex, was a little. You were on this channel before, and what I did was that I asked you a question, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to share a little video file here, and I'm going to look in some of the old stuff that we have. If you just bear with us here, and I'm just going to see. Here we go. I've just found it fairly quickly here in our archives. And what I want to do, Alex, is that I want to play this video as a reminder of people, a reminder to people of exactly who that it is that Alex Easton is, and what it is that Alex Easton has done in order to protect his principles. Let's just play this, and we'll come back and we'll ask you a few more questions with reference how that things are today in 2022.
Okay.
That again, this is me trying to further, I guess, for the understanding for the people that is on this live chat. I mean, there you mentioned the protocol there, and you mentioned that the way that the mainstream political parties, the party political machines, were dealing with the protocol. And you said that, you know, you seen that there were certain things that was happening. And then we went on to understand, say, for example, that the Secretary of State actually changed parts of the Belfast Agreement to allow the protocol to come into being. And I know that there was a vote in the Assembly, Alex, and it was the vote whereby that each and every MLA actually voted in a particular way to permit the mechanisms that would actually breathe life into the protocol. And there were two people that didn't actually vote for that. And I'm going to come off the back of this with a question for you. The two people were Jim Allister and Jim Wells at the time, and each and every person in that assembly, including yourself, Alex, is actually voted for those mechanisms. Now, this isn't an attack on the DUP, but this is me just asking, I mean, how were you sold that? How were you so? I mean, you did obviously go along with the party. I mean, was it necessary? You know, is there anything that you could say why that you would have voted at that time when Jim Allister and Jim Wells didn't at that time?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I have to apologise for the way I voted, but when that came up, you know, the sheet of paper you were given didn't show you all these different regulations on them, so it didn't even mention how many regulations there were. And when I queried that, I asked one of the DUP SPADs, because I knew it had something to do with it, and I was given this assurance that it was keeping us in line with the rest of the United Kingdom, and there was absolutely nothing to worry about. It had gone through the DERA committee, and our representatives didn't raise any issues with it. And I was led to believe that there was nothing whatsoever to worry about with that. And I trusted what I was told, and I made a mistake. And that's how it was sold to me, and I can only apologise. But it won't happen again, I can assure you.
Yeah. And in later times, Alex, whenever you began to realise and you begin to see, and then you understand through court cases that is happening right now, that the active union actually was altered, and in parts of the Belfast Agreement were altered in order to permit this to happen. Did that form part of your decision to think that you don't want to be in the position whereby you have to do things like that again? Is that a reason why?
It was part of it. When you're in a party, you have to take the whip, and sometimes you vote for things that maybe you wouldn't want to. And anyone who's maybe noticed the last year, I did have a wee bit of a rebellion off and on. So that was brewing, but I'm my own man. I didn't want to let my people down. And I don't want to vote for anything to do with the protocol that's going to weaken our position within the United Kingdom. It's just not on. It's not me, and it's not acceptable. And now I'm in that position where I can make my own decisions, and nobody can bully me into doing something that I don't want to do.
Alex, if you read that on the live chat there from Stephen Anderson, this is the first time any unionist politician has spoken to us on our level. Excuse me, you've got me tearful. I find that very refreshing, because that is the reality, is that there's not very many people that are willing to admit the mistakes. But again, I'm saying to the live chat right now, this is why Alex Easton is sitting in front of you as an independent, is because that he didn't like the things that he was going to have to do, or potentially going to have to do, perhaps in the future. And again, I'm asking you to listen to this man's words, because we need more Alex Eastons within British unionism right around this country. You've got to excuse me. I was hitting the wrong buttons of that many things sitting in front of my screen there. That was technical error. That was caused by me, of course. But Alex, on a serious note, looking at that interview and going back, and as I said, there's not very many politicians in this world, never mind in Northern Ireland, that is willing to admit the mistakes that was made, and is willing to literally to come clean. You didn't know that I was going to ask you that question, and I asked the question, and I have to say that you answered it in a very open and honest way, and I have to say that it was a very acceptable answer to both myself and the people I can remember on the live chat back whenever I asked you that. So Alex, on the back of that, I have another question, and this is something that I should have actually asked you back then. And I'm going to try to ask you this, and I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything else, but there was another event that was in the building, which was just behind us here. And there was a man called Alex Maskey, who was the speaker of this house up until the it came down, and there was another election there not too long ago. And in fact, he's still a speaker.
Yeah.
But a lot of people in Northern Ireland, let me just explain for the purpose of explanation before that I ask a question here. But a lot of people in Northern Ireland were prepared for peace. A lot of people genuinely wanted to make this so-called peace process work. Back 1994, 1993, going forward, the run up to the Belfast Agreement. I mean, people were genuinely wanting to return this country to some sort of normality. And on February of 1996, the people that Alex Maskey, who's the Speaker in this House, the people that he was associated with, the
Mm-hmm.
IRA, and let's not make any mistake about this, the IRA, that were the people, those were the people, the child murderers, the people that blew this place to smithereens for years, the people that still hold this country to ransom. Many people wanted it to work. Many people were prepared to put the past behind them, if only that these people were sincere. And many people did, and that's why that I think there was 70 odd percent of the people that voted for this Belfast Agreement. But in February of 1996, in a tactical move, the organisation which Alex Maskey belonged to, now he will say he belonged to Sinn Féin, but it's widely known that he was involved in the IRA, as were his family members. And, he will say, look, let me get this, in February of 1996, they tactically placed the bomb in a place called Canary Wharf. They caused £500 million worth of damage. And, that was the point in where well, I began to realize that this isn't for real, that these people don't want peace, that these people don't want to put the past behind them. These people don't want to make amends for the bitterness and the hatred of the past and every single thing that they've done. That this was a process, yes, a process, okay, but it certainly wasn't a peace process. Well, it was a process in where that they wanted to extract as much as they could from the process. It was a process in where that we then later learned that, well, to get them back into this process again, they were given concessions after having planted that bomb. But I believe that that was a very tactical bomb. And the British government of that day, well, it was John Major's government that then became Tony Blair's government. Well, it didn't matter what they done. It didn't matter when they done it. It didn't matter how they done it. It didn't matter how much damage they caused. It didn't matter that if they murdered people, if they were gathering from this place behind us, they were gathering information likely to be of use to terrorists when they were gathering the names of prison officers and RUC officers from their privileged position in this building. This happened in 1996 going forward. And, I look and I think that, well, I'm going to quote Jeffrey Donaldson here before that I ask you this question. Jeffrey Donaldson says, well, sometimes leadership means when trying to make peace with your enemies, you've got to push the boundaries. And I say, and I've often said, well, to try to make peace with people that don't want to make peace with you is fool's gold. It's really, really fool's gold. And that's why that I'm going to come to the point where I'm asking you a question here, is that Alex Maskey, one of the members of this organisation, which has held Northern Ireland to ransom for all of these years, all of my life, in fact, he was the Speaker in that House. Jerry Kelly, who glorifies in breaking out of the maze at a time when prison officers were shot in the head. These people continue to glorify IRA terrorism day in, day out in a way that what it does is it adds insult to the injury of their victims. And nobody is prepared to stand against them in order to stop it and stop it properly. I mean, that is a good reason for that House not to return until that there is laws put in place that they can't glorify this terrorism, that they can't add insult to the injury to the victims to which they caused. So for that reason, I look at Alex Maskey and I again say that whilst I would have wanted peace back in the day, I'm a realist and I began to realize that peace just wasn't going to happen between unionism and this evil organisation that still holds Northern Ireland to ransom. So for that reason, I believe that Alex Maskey shouldn't have been a Speaker in that House. I believe that Jerry Kelly shouldn't set foot in that building, literally contaminating that building with their filth. Alex, I asked you a question on the back of what I've just said, because I think that what I've did is that I have just put in place how that it is that many people feel from within our community. But you also would have been part of voting Alex Maskey into that speaker job? And I'm just looking for an honest answer as to why that would have been the case from you. And I hope that isn't a hard question for you, Alex. But over to you.
Yeah, well, thanks, John, for the question. When basically he was voted in as speaker, we were gathered in our room, our GUP room, and we would have had meetings every Monday. And at the beginning of that assembly cycle, we were told that there had been an agreement between all the political parties that there would be a share out of who got speaker, and that it was Sinn Féin's turn. There were some of us did express concern about that, and a 3-line that was put on us, and it was part of an agreed process by all the political parties, including all the unionist parties at that time. So the next go there should be a unionist speaker, from what I believe, and certainly he wasn't the first speaker that was from Sinn Féin. I think Mitchell McLaughlin was the first as well. So there's been an agreement to share that out between all the parties. So that's how that, and of course I'm not proud of it.
Yeah. Alex, and again, I wanted to get that out of the road because, look, again, my interpretation of you sitting in front of me, and again, how that you answered the question previously. And look, and I hope that you don't feel that it put you on the spot and it didn't sort of, bring you on here to corner you or anything else. But I think that people needs to know what it is that's happening in that building. And I say that, I mean, I understand that if you are going to make peace with your enemies, that sometimes these things have to be done, but only if the people on the other side actually mean that they want peace. Not that they want to use these things to rub people's noses in it, or not that, look, I bring everything down to the victims. I bring everything down to that whilst the victims will never, ever, ever get any justice for their loved ones being killed, the same people are stirring up cases against the law enforcement, cases against anyone and everyone that they can actually have a case against, and this isn't the way to build a reconciliation process. And I level this charge at unionism in general for not saying way back, hang on a wee minute here, this is not something that we can subscribe to unless that there's a process of let's just say that is geared towards not disrespecting anyone in that process, namely those that would have gave their lives and those that would have been innocently blown up, slaughtered, maimed and murdered over the years by this evil organization that occupies this building behind us. So again, Alex, I thank you for the answer that you've given there. And I hope that people understands that again, well, I say that Alex, I came to knowing you, I've come to know you over the last few years there, and why I sort of, have a lot of, I hold you in high esteem, and I'll tell you why I do, is that, over the years I've noticed people, and again, there's one person there, and this is one of the people here, Liam Thompson Hamilton here. Alex is a brave man. Have any other been invited and asked these questions? Yes, I am a supporter of Alex. Now, I mean, where I would have met Elaine was on Austin Lennon's Facebook page, yeah. And there were several people on there. Now, I didn't actually know you at the time, but, everybody had a good word to say about you. Everybody would say that what you do is you do the work that you're meant to do. I mean, a politician, an MLA, an MP, a councillor is there, and they're there to work for the people to which elects them. And, to serve and protect the people, I think best explains it. And, this is what comes across when people are explaining who that it is that Alex Easton is. So again, I wanted to look and see who that Alex Easton was. And there are people that would maybe suggest that that you've done the wrong thing whenever that you've been part of that voting system. But hang on a wee minute, and this is me here for saying this. Hang on a minute. Alex had the guts to stand up and to say that I'm going independent. I can't be part of this anymore. I can't be forced into the position in where that I'm going to be forced to vote for the things that the people that I represent actually don't subscribe to. So, Alex, for that reason, I think that I take my hat off to you, and I hope that every single person on this live chat actually also does exactly the same thing. So, Alex, well done for going independent. Now that what we're going to do is that we've spent a wee bit of time, and I know that we wanted to talk about the census, Alex, and I'm going to ask you that if we maybe come back and do that. There, we have about 15 minutes left, and I do want to maybe discuss something else here, with you as we go. Who knows? We may even get a wee bit of time just to touch on the census as we go. So again, here I'm just going to pop this up here. Fair play, John and Alex. Well, look, Alan, it's not myself. I think it's down to Alex Easton here, and I'm going to say, and I said this here before, but if all our politicians were like Alex Easton, that would come on, that would answer the hard questions, and would give people an understanding of what it is that happens, well, I don't think that unionism would be in the position that they're actually in today. So, and again, I'm just going to pop this up from my man who works in our background here. I'm a big supporter of Alex, the only man who can knock Barry out of North Down. Now, there is something that we need to now get on to. We really need to get on to this. And thank you, Jim, for reminding us about this. So next on the agenda, Alex, what we're going to talk about here is that your plan for the future. Okay, so you're an MLA. You're an independent MLA. You're an independent unionist MLA. And can I ask you one question, which is going to lead to many, many, many more? And this one question is that you did stand in the general election and you stood against Stephen Farry of the Alliance Party, who did take the seat in North Down previously. That was on the 12th of December in 2019. I'm good with dates, Alex. So 12th of December 2019. Well, I was heavily involved, as you know, in helping the DUP get elected back then, and that's a date I'll never, ever, ever forget. So in 2019, you stood in North Down. Alex, can I ask you firstly, let's just take people on a little journey here. So you went to the polls, and okay, so who came first? What was their vote? Who came second? What was their vote? Over to you, Alex.
Okay. Well, Stephen Farry obviously won the Westminster seat. He got just roughly about 18,000 votes. I was second. I was about 15,500 roughly. So I wasn't far behind him. It was maybe a night I would like to forget. I sort of did see it coming, to be honest with you, so it wasn't a complete shock to me. But I was disappointed, a wee bit hurt, and unionism had a chance to win a unionist seat, and I felt I'd let the unionist population down, partly, to be honest with you. And it took quite a while for me to get over that disappointment that had let so many people down.
And in terms of electoral success, I mean, can you remember the number that Farry got in terms of votes in North Down that time, Alex?
It was just over 18,000. I wouldn't be able to give you the exact figure, but it was definitely 18,000. It was just about 18,000.
So how many votes would you have got, Alex, at the time?
I got about 15,500. So I actually, I suppose the plus from that, it was actually my biggest ever vote I ever got in the Westminster election. And I was actually the only DUP candidate at that time that actually increased the DUP vote. So even though I lost, I did increase the DUP vote.
Yeah. So again, and this is me just trying to drill down, and people on the live chat, I'm going to ask you to listen very, very carefully here. Okay. So Mr. Farry, he got 18,000 thereabouts vote, and you got 15,000. How many votes did you say there?
Like 15,500.
Okay, so we're talking about 3,000 votes of a difference here. Let's give him 18,500. Now, can I ask another question here? Because I know that there was another party, another unionist party, that didn't stand aside. Now, let me explain to people here. You see, right, there was an agreed unionist candidate in Fermanagh, and that was a guy called Tom Elliott from the Ulster Unionist Party. And every single party stood aside to allow Tom Elliott a free run. And, Jim Allister, for example, from the TUV would have went up and canvassed for him. I mean, ourselves here at Restore UK, we were doing rallies before the time of the election in Fermanagh to try to support Tom Elliott to be elected. And this is the way that things were going. We were rallying for the union right around this country to try to get unionist politicians elected. And, there was an agreement there, but why not in North Down? Are you privy to any of that information, why that there wasn't an agreed candidate in North Down? Because let's face it, and here, let me ask you this, because this is for the purpose of letting people understand. How many votes did the Ulster Unionist Party get in roughly in North Down?
I think they got about 6,000 votes.
Okay, so around figure, let's say it was 5,000 votes. Let's just even call it that, right? So people, and this is me talking to the live chat. This is me talking to every single person that comes on this to watch this at a later date. Is that here we have a scenario in where that unionism is standing against each other in North Down. Now, clearly, and I'm saying this clearly, is that you got 18,000 votes. The UUP got 5,000 votes. Farry got 18,500 votes. Let's give them that. So your 15,500 and not 5,000 would have brought you up to over 20,000 votes, which would have meant that we would have had a unionist seat. Now, again, I'm going to break this down in another way for the people that's on our live chat, is that if that the Ulster Unionist Party only got 5,000 or 6,000 votes, let's even give them 7,000 votes, just to be generous to them. Well, they're not the candidate for North Down in the next general election. And I'm saying that as a unionist. I mean, clearly you are the man that can take Stephen Farry, the Alliance Party, off his perch in North Down. And I'm saying this just by those figures, just examining those figures. But again, John, I'm just going to pop this up, and I think Johnny Angus is a man from I think you're from Bangor, Johnny. And I just look again, this really has me in dismay that we have an absent MP in North Down because he doesn't do anything for the people of North Down. Let me ask another question here, Alex. And again, these people are prompting me to ask these things. But
yeah,
do you know? Okay, let's just look at anything. Does people come to you in your office to ask you to do things? What would be the biggest thing people would ask you to do as an MLA in your office?
I get dozens of things every day, and the range from PIP applications to antisocial behaviour to potholes to streetlights to trying to help people get quicker appointments for operations. People who've been assaulted, people who've been intimidated, bread and butter issues. The range is vast and varied. Stuff on the Northern Ireland Protocol, businesses coming to me. It's just huge. It's constant, and I try to help everybody as best I can. And I don't always succeed, but I try my best.
Well done. Look, and I see something on the live chat here that there's a man that's haven't seen him in a while, but I'm just going to read over this here. Yeah. Now, so here we go. You ready for it? Okay. They say the UUP votes wouldn't have made a difference, but you have to remember that the UUP were out badmouthing and campaigning against Alex. The UUP fought against Alex and not the Alliance Party. Now, this is a man that I trust what it is that he's saying. Again, this is unionism. I'm just saying, wakey, this is a wake up call that Alex and Austin, whenever you look at it, and I know you're a political, let's just say, an anorak, let's just say, but whenever you look at it, Alex with his 15,500 votes against the UUP's 5, 6, 7,000 votes, let's be generous. Well, that clearly states that Alex Easton is the man to stand in the next general election to take Mr. Farry off his post. So I believe, Austin, and I believe that the people that is on here and the people that is going to come in the very, very near future to watch this, well, we need to start a campaign now to ensure that Alex Easton is the agreed candidate in North Down at the next general election, because this is not about celebrities or personalities or anything else. This is about getting a seat for unionism, and clearly we can see that the only man that is capable of doing that is the man that's sitting in front of us on this screen. So, look, Alex, again, we would like to perhaps contribute to help you in any way that we can from here at Restore UK. And also, again, what we need to do is we need to, if you have any suggestions that you have for us that we can, in any way, shape, or form, help with anything that you need to do, well, I think that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do as unionists, because in that general election back in 2019, the 12th of December in 2019, well, we were part of a thing called the Unite Unionist Group. And what we did is that we rallied for people right around this country, whether they were DUP, whether they were agreed candidates. And well, we worked tirelessly in order to ensure that unionism, as Carson would have said back in the Ulster Hall on a night that I think was on the 6th of December, 100 years before that exact election. And we had a rally in the Ulster Hall there just prior to that election. And, what he says was that, we need to send people back to Westminster who is prepared to fight for unionism, not those that would oppose it. And, and I believe, and again, I'm talking to the live chat, that Alex Easton, well, clearly with his 15,500 votes against the UUP's 5, 6, or 7,000 votes, well, Alex Easton is clearly the candidate that should be agreed for North Down. And that's my honest belief. So no, it's interesting, Alex, to break that down, and it's interesting to have it actually, to be laid out. So again, can I just ask you a question? And I want to get your thoughts on this here. And look, we're going to run over for a wee bit, but I think that now that we're on this subject, I want to really talk to you, because what we need to do is that we need to clip this video and we need to actually get it out there in order that people can understand what the facts about North Down is. But again, I mean, I hope I'm not pushing you into something that you don't want to do. I mean, you're an MLA. Would you preferable that you would be, I could understand that if you were an MP, you would be back and forward from Westminster. That might take you away from your family. I mean, is this something that you're prepared to do in the next general election? Would you be prepared to stand as an MP?
It's something that I've thought about an awful lot. I personally feel I've unfinished business with the current MP. I care passionately about the union, and I care passionately about the people of North Down. And I know in my heart that I can offer them so much more and so much better. And I believe I can do that if I was to be elected as an MP. But, it's a tall order. Unionism to unite. Unionism needs to start talking to each other about different constituencies. We do need to have candidates that can reach out as big an audience as they possibly can. I certainly believe in North Down that I can do that. If you look at the election results in North Down for the Assembly election, the Alliance Party's vote was around about 11,000. So there was quite a significant drop in their vote compared to Westminster. So I believe if unionism comes together and chooses the right candidates, unionism can win seats back. We can reverse the trends. I believe we can win North Belfast. I believe we can win Belfast. I believe North Down should be a unionist seat regardless. So there's opportunities there for unionism to strengthen. I believe unionism needs to get round the table really quickly, and it's not just about elections, but just how we conduct ourselves, how we promote ourselves, how we strengthen the union, how we reach out to people that we've lost, who maybe don't vote anymore, who maybe aren't registered to vote, who maybe vote for the Alliance or different parties when they maybe would have come from a traditional unionist background. There's so many people we can reach out, and we ignore that. And we ignore it at our peril. And you can see the latest census results.
Yeah.
So I would implore, that the Ulster Unionist DUP and all the other wee parties like the TUV and Conservatives even, and even myself, we all need to get together and agree a way forward. At the end of the day, even if I have to sacrifice myself, it's more important that we win North Down for unionism than Alex Easton. But I do believe I'm in the best position to win it. But I need help. And just even getting people out to vote, you know what it's like. It's difficult, and we all need to be working together to sell an attractive message that promotes the union, promotes what we can do for our people on the ground, no matter what religion they come from, and grow that base, because that's what we need to be doing now.
Yeah, Alex, thanks for that. And again, I'm going to put Austin up here again. Is that who is saying what needs to be said with an unfiltered and politically uncentered voice, unionism in Parliament? So again, just to basically tell you what it is, I think that what Austin's saying here is that, well, you see, when you're attached to a party political machine, what you've got to do is you've got to actually toe the line. You've got to take the party whip, and whatever the policy of that party political machine would be, well, you've got to follow that policy. And we do need voices. We need independent voices, I believe, at Westminster. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, we're all unionists here. We all need to stand together, which takes me to the next thing that I actually want to say. Now, again, Alex, this is me not, and these are my words. These are not your words, and I'm not hoping to taint you with these words. This is my own, what I believe is that, you see, if you were part of the DUP, right, I don't think that you would win this seat or get anywhere near those 15,000 votes right now in North Down. And if you were part, even, let's say, of the UUP, I don't think that you would win that seat either, right? And even if everyone else stood aside, I'm saying even if they stood aside, because the reality is that they wouldn't stand. If you were part of the DUP, the UUP is going to stand against you. The TUV is going to stand against you. If you were part of the vice versa, the UUP will. If you're part of the UUP, the DUP is going to stand against you. If you're part of the DUP, the other way around. I'm trying to get this right. I think I'm mixing myself up there, but you get what I'm saying. If he's part of any of these unionist parties, the other ones will stand against him. But because he's an independent, that surely there's merit there in where that these parties could actually stand down. And given that you actually got 15,500 votes, and given that the rest of the unionists vote, even in a very, very low turnout. Alex, do you know what the turnout was in that Westminster election? Do you know what the turnout was in Northern Ireland?
About 58%.
Okay, so 58%.
Yeah, but you need to look at where the turnout was throughout the constituency, and some areas which would have been strong for me were turning out at 50%. Whereas areas that were strong for the Alliance were turning out at maybe 60%. So, you have to have a close look at the actual constituency and where the votes are turning out and where they're not turning out, and look at how you can address that.
Alex, is there any shock numbers? I mean, I know that politicians, they get to see figures, they get to see voting turnouts from particular areas. I mean, I'm going to give you, there's look, I've heard this from other sources, but I've heard in various, I'm going to say, traditionally loyalist housing estates, that have been very, very poor turnout in terms of even the people that are registered to vote. I mean, is there any area where you could maybe give us a number that wouldn't put you in trouble? And if you can't give us any numbers, I respect you for saying that. But is there any, areas where you can give us a general, percentage of who's registered or who comes out to vote in these areas? I mean, I'm just trying to get a sense of what it is that you're up against and what it is that we need to do right around this province to get unionists registered to vote and out to vote.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to name any particular areas.
Okay.
Emphasize I get my vote right across the board, but I
Yeah.
get vote maybe in certain areas more than others. But there's one area, I'll not name it, where there's around about, we'll say there's just a rough figure of 3,000 people live in that specific area, and out of that 3,000 that live in that specific area, only about 1,500 to 1,600 of them are actually registered to vote.
Yeah.
So when you come to an election, you're already at a disadvantage because nearly half of them aren't on the register, despite your best efforts to try and get them on the register. So that's a real problem, and how you address it is very difficult. And I've held electoral events, I've had letters going around doors, and you don't get a great return for the effort that you put in to try and get people onto the register. And then when it comes to election day, maybe in that area you'll have a 50% turnout. So out of the 1,500 or 1,600 that are actually registered, only half of them are actually voting. So you're down to about 700 or 800 people that are actually voting. And even out of the 700 and 800 people in the area that don't necessarily all vote for me or whoever, but it's a worry, because registered to vote, even if you don't vote, it's actually good for you, because it's good for your credit, it's good if you're going for a mortgage, it's good for you if you're getting a loan. So it's good for all sorts of reasons for you, even if you're not voting. But taking that aside, my worry is the day a border poll gets called, and there's so many areas where are predominantly from a unionist background, that there's so many people that aren't on the register. And I would hate for unionism to get caught out, because so many people aren't registered. How we address that, I don't know. I have tried my socks off so many times to try and address it, with limited success, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So again, people, what you just heard there is, and this is my interpretation of what I've just heard, and I have to say it totally shocks me, is that out of an area of 3,000 people, only half of that is registered to vote, 1,500 people, and this is in a predominantly Protestant Unionist Loyalist area. And in that area, out of the people that actually do turn out to vote, of the people that are eligible to vote in that they're registered, well, only half of that again turns out. So it would be fair enough saying 750, 800 people, maybe, Alex, would turn out. So we're getting, if you look at it roughly, we're getting out of 3,000 people, we're getting quarter of the vote out in a Protestant Unionist Loyalist, predominantly Protestant Unionist Loyalist area. So there's really what needs to be worked on. And, I believe, and this is my words, I'm not hoping to taint you with my words, Alex, but I have an opinion. And my opinion would be, is that, you see, this is years of successive unionist leaderships actually promising one thing and going and doing another. Because I've heard it so often that people would say, well, why would I vote for them? Because they go and they do their own thing anyway. What they do is they play for themselves. They don't play for us. So there's a huge task. And again, I'm really, really glad, Alex, that I had you on here this evening to have that chat and to have this chat in order that people can understand exactly why it is that the nationalist vote, or the nationalist Republican vote, is up, and unionism is, well, seemingly down. So, Alex, thank you very much for coming along. And I think that I've held you very long enough. You know, we've been here for an hour and almost 40 minutes, and I never intended to stay this long. Look, I could stay here for another while. I've lots more questions that I
Sure, you
should
do.
be asking you. I do really. And look, again, I'm just going to say I'm so glad that I brought you on. Thank you very much for whenever I asked you that you did come on. And, you know, and again, I'm going to ask you again, Alex, if you would come on maybe in 2 or 3 weeks' time. And what we'll do is that what we were to look at the census figures, you and I didn't do my job. But as you've seen, I was away doing other things at the weekend, and then preparing for this. So again, I would ask you, Alex. I mean, if you'd be happy enough, if you would like to come on again, maybe in somewhere down the line, like 2 or 3 weeks' time, and we'll look at the census figures. We'll try to break that down, and also, I would like to maybe try to do something on those voting figures, and to have a wee look and to talk to other politicians, because look, there are people in areas. I mean, nothing's impossible. There are people in these areas that knows people. There are family members, and what we need to do is we need to be able to plead with our family members that we really need to get people out to vote, because if we don't, well, I certainly don't want to be part of a 32 county socialist Republic of Ireland, which is a vassal of the EU. And that's my claim to where that it is that will be if we don't get up off our backsides and we don't actually vote. So, look, people, I'm going to ask Alex to close by literally addressing the live chat and by saying that, did he enjoy his time here? Does he believe that Restore is doing the right thing? I hope that you weren't too, let's say, offended by the questions, Alex, that I was asking you, the hard questions with reference to the speaker of this place just behind me. I believe that you answered it again in an open and an honest way. And for that reason, I have to say thank you very much. Thank you. There's not very many politicians that gives you a direct and open and an honest answer. So thank you very much for that, Alex. So people, whenever Alex addresses you and he says his goodbyes and he gives, he says what he says about Restore and so on, I'm going to ask people there's still plenty of people on the live chat. Would you please leave your messages of support, your messages of criticism, your messages of our Restore UK doing a good job in what it is that we do. That I know that we have been a wee bit, I'm looking at the Twitter channel and the YouTube channel, and things have been a wee bit cloudy, but it's something to do with the internet that we have, or maybe it's something to do with the computer that I'm using. So what we'll do for next week is that we'll change over. We've got several screens in front of us here. We'll change over to another computer, and perhaps that might actually make things better. So once again, thanks very much for coming along, and we're going to play us out with two things once Alex addresses you. And we're going to play us out with something that we actually captured whilst in Uri at that the parade and the commemoration for the signing of the I'm never lost for words. What is it? The Ulster Covenant. Why did I forget about that? I'm doing a documentary about it. But look, anyway, I'm going to play us out with something that I took whilst in Uri, something that you haven't actually seen yet. And again, please leave your messages of support for Alex, for Restore UK. And one more thing before that I close, because I forgot to do this. Now, remember, we're due in the Supreme Court on the 30th of November and also on the 1st of December. We are the last line of defence against this constitutional changing EU protocol. And we're taking a team to London to be at that Supreme Court. We're going to be reporting on the things that are happening from the Supreme Court. And many hands make light work. We can't afford to do all this on our own. And I'm going to ask people if you can help our work. There's a PayPal link. It's on the Facebook channels. It's on the YouTube channel. There's several PayPal links there. If you can put a small donation in, well, what it does is it helps to keep us on the road, and it helps, well, it saves my bank manager from actually, telling me that there's not enough money in the bank to pay for things. But listen, thanks very much once again. And Alex, over to you. If you would just like to address the live chat, tell us about your experience on here. And, would you come back again? That's a key question. Over to you.
Hi, John. Well, look, thanks for inviting me again. I'm delighted to come on. I'm not scared to answer the difficult questions. That's what I'm elected to do. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I hold my hands up. But I do care passionately about our people and our country, and certainly the people of North Down. And I want us to remain in the union, and I'm going to make sure that I do my bit to make sure that we do for absolutely ever and ever and ever. So I'm happy to come on again. You weren't too bad to me. I'll call you a wee rascal at times, but you're not too bad. So thank you very much for having me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, Alex, thanks very much. And as I say, no malicious intent, but sometimes some hard questions have to be asked. And I have to say that again, yet again, for the second time running, you answered it in the most open and honest way. People, thanks very much. Leave your messages in your live chat for Alex Easton. We're going to close ourselves down. What we're going to do is we're going to play us out with something that I captured whilst I was in Newry at the weekend at the Orange Hall. And, well, I'll let you see this for yourself, and then we'll be playing us out with something else, and then we'll be able to close. So, Alex, if you have to go, you can go. And if not, if you want to hang around in the background for a quick wee chat, I think we'll be about sort of 4 minutes just closing up here, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks very much for coming along, and we'll see each and every one of you real soon.
Night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at a commemoration stone, and it says, "To the glory of God and in the memory of brethren of Newry District Number 9 murdered by terrorists 1921 to 2021." I also see, there's a centenary crest there, just up on the left-hand side of the stone. And what it does is it lists all the people that were murdered in this area that was associated with brethren of the Newry District Number 9. In 1921, Brother George Linus. 1921, Brother Draper Holmes. 22, Thomas Crozier. 1922, Joseph Gray. 1922, John Hislop. 1922, Robert Hislop. 1922, James Lockhart. 1972, Joseph Jordan. 1977, it was Robert Mitchell. 1978, William McAlpine. 1978, Charles Henning. And over again in 1981, there was a Richard McKee. 1982, Norman Hanna. 1984, William Fullerton. 1994, Gregory Pollock. And in 2011, Stephen McKee. Just at the bottom of the plaque here, you'll see "We will remember them." This is a fitting tribute to those people that did actually lost their lives over the years from this area.
There is freedom within, there is freedom without. Try to catch a deluge in a paper cup. There's a battle ahead, many battles are lost, but you never see the end of the road while you're traveling with me. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Towing my car, there's a hole in the roof. My possession of causing me suspicion, but there's no proof. In the paper today tells a warrant of waste, but you turn right over to the TV page. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in, they come to build a wall between us. You know that they won't win. Walking again to the beat of the drum, and I'm counting the steps to the door of your heart. Only shadows ahead, barely clearing the roof. Get to know the feeling of liberation and relief. Hey now, hey